नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथिता पुराणं तिरुमला मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ततामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी.
So we went through the 15th chapter summary.
Yeah.
Yes, Swamiji. And also I heard that last week's Prashant sent me Essence of Gita. He's in
And
the
also
fourth.
today also there is.
Yes. That also he sent. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Today
Very nice.
reviewing
It's
it,
now,
yeah.
because the next two talks we will be concluding this series of Essence of Gita.
Oh, okay.
So that is why it will be very good, these last talks.
Verses 1 to 3 we have to start.
Yeah, we have we have just read through the thing.
Yeah.
We have to go to the detail.
Yes.
Fearlessness.
Meaning. Sri Bhagavan Vacha.
Sri Bhagavan said, Bharata, freedom from fear, purity of mind, steadiness in contemplation, charity, judicious restraint of sense organs, performance rituals, recitation of one's own branch of the Veda, religious discipline, alignment of thought, word and deed, absence of hurting, truthfulness, resolution of anger, renunciation, resolution of the mind, absence of calumny, compassion for living beings, absence of ardent longing, softness, modesty, absence of physical agitation, brilliance, composure, fortitude, cleanliness, no thought of hurting, and no exaggerated self-opinion. All these are there for the one who is born to the wealth of devas. Each word here is a quality for the one who has cultivated or is born into spiritual wealth. Daivim sampadam abhijatasya. Each one of these needs to be understood thoroughly.
So this is Daivim Sampat is in contrast of Asurim Sampat and Rajasim Sampat, which we discussed before, like Sattva Guna, Raja Guna and Tamo Guna. So we have to elevate ourselves from Rajo Guna and Tamo Guna to Sattva Guna. Basically, the idea is that this is all set to how the differentiation happens. Sense, there is one famous statement like Dhruvam apaye apadanam. It's famous in Sanskrit grammar also, and it is a very profound statement used by Panini because he himself is a Vedanta student. He is a grammarian, but based in Vedanta. And Dhruvam apaye apadanam, meaning Dhruvam is straight. Okay. If you fall from straight, it can go anywhere. So, like for example, the two time, when it is, both the hands are together, 12 or 0, it is 1. But once the minute hand moves away from our hand, then it can go anywhere, 360 degrees. So, the 360 degrees of life is characterized as Sattva, Rajas, Tamo combination. So, for us to have that oneness with Ishvara, like both the minute hand and our hand have to come together, the oneness has to, in the sense, it is possible only when the whole life moves with an idea of closing the gap with the Jivatvam and Ishvaratvam, that is, the Tamoguna to Rajoguna to Sattva-guna. Suddha Sattva is the essential quality of our life. That has to be the objective. Like the idea is we have to move towards Sattva-guna. So in order to emphasize that, this is being told like this. Because what will happen is, if you look at all these qualities and the 12th chapter qualities, Adveshta, Sarvabhutanam, and all that, and 13th chapter qualities, Amanitvam, Madantvam, and all, it may look like a big list. Where we are going to exhaust this list? That sort of a, what do you call, yes, helplessness may come in, which is not so. That's what he is trying to say is that you start moving, it will automatically you move in the, once you move in the right direction, you will eventually make it. One each good quality will hold on to the other good quality and it will catch up. So that is with that idea only we should look at all these things. Individually, if you look at it somewhere, you can relate. Wherever you feel that you are slipping and all that, you correct that, automatically everything else will get corrected. Since so because everyone goes through life in a different form and fashion. Backgrounds are different, circumstances are different, the way in which your society behaves also is different. So somewhere along you may feel that certain particular quality you are lacking consistently. Every time you slip up. So that if you correct it, automatically the other qualities will also reinforce this good quality and then we will move in the right direction. So that is how we have to look at it. So let us see how individually what he says. Devi Sampath. Devi Sampath in the sense you are one with Deva is the reality. And how do we get it? That's what we should know.
Swami, is Dhruvam apaye apatat.
Dhruvam apaye apadanam.
Apaye.
Dhruvam means apaye apadanam. Actually, the Swanini and this thing is Panchami. Panchami means fifth case.
Oh.
Fifth case is explained like this. Dhruvam apaye apadanam.
Apadanam.
Apadanam. Apadanam is upadanam, meaning from which? From which the whole thing has come. Dhruvam. Dhruvam means Satyam. From Satyam only everything has come. Satyam only apaye. Once you move away, everything begins. Everything starts. In Satyam, there is only Satyam. There is no second. But once you slip, Vidya is everywhere. In the sense, whole world is possible. The possibility once you slip up from Satyam. That is what. Yeah.
Fearlessness. Abhaya is fearlessness. This is not the absolute abhaya of the wise man. It is freedom from the sense of duality. It is born of knowledge and is not what is discussed here. Here we are looking into an attribute of the mind of a seeker. This fearlessness is with reference to a number of things and it depends on these sources of fear.
Yeah, basically relative fearlessness. The sense what we have said, abhaya, the Shastra what it says is once you know the reality, there is no reason for fear. No, abhaya hetu is not there. Like Taittiriya Upanishad says, once you know that is your reality, then the bhaya hetu is gone. Till then, okay, till then it's a quality. In the sense, because of certain intelligence, you may not be having some fear for certain purpose, certain circumstances. But kabhi in the sense, sometimes you will be fearful. But once a bhaya hetu, the reason for fear is the second. When there is no second, there is no reason for fear. That is the ultimate fearlessness. That is what is talked about in the Shastra. But here he is talking about relative fearlessness. Relatively, you must be able to fearless. How is it? He is explaining that. Yeah.
What are the sources of fear? The primary one is death. It is not an ordinary fear and can only be eliminated by knowing cognitively that Atma is not subject to time. Fear is an emotion, and like any emotion, it is always preceded by a thought that we normally fail to recognize. That thought is the missing link which has to be discovered. The fear of death is a particular thought that is always backed by some relevant emotion because the love for survival is instinctive. This very natural love to be is inbuilt in the creation. No living organism wants to die. An animal always runs from a predator because instinctively it knows it will die otherwise. The fear here is instinctive, born of a love for survival. Cognitive appreciation here of the fact that I, Atma, am not subject to death can neutralize the thought which precedes the emotion of fear. The thought I will die is not seen by you. Only the emotion of fear is seen. If you can detect the thought, I will die, you can begin to inquire into it. What is it that is going to die? The body. Body, it is definitely going to die. Nothing can stop it. That which dies always dies. And what cannot die does not. This is anityatva vichara.
Anityatva vichara. Nitya anityatva vichara. What is nityam, which we have been discussing generally? What is changeless remains changeless. What is changing will always change. So this discrimination is important. That is the nitya anityatva vichara.
It is not that suddenly one day the body dies. It keeps aging because, like anything in the creation, it has an inherent disintegrative factor, entropy, which drives order to disorder. Being put together, it has a natural tendency to fall apart and is therefore meant to die like your car. The more you understand this, the better you can appreciate being alive today. You can celebrate life. All you have to plan for is one day today.
One day today.
One day today. And since you only need to concern yourself with today, you need not spoil it by quarreling with anybody. It is something like traveling. There are always some people who create problems. You just put up with them. After all, it is just for a few hours. Similarly, just for a day, every day, I celebrate living and I am not afraid of death. This technique.
So it is a very relatively he is looking at it, because we know that body comes and body goes, but we always say most of us in the culturally oriented will always know that the I survive the body. In the sense we all know that we are all all people. Swamiji always used to say all children that is born at the same moment in a hospital. When you grow, when you look at them 10 years later, each has got a different life. How it can happen? If the body is life, then all should have the same life. So the very fact that people have different lives, people are born differently, means there is something before that which makes the body come into the person, come into that particular body, and later also, even after the body leaves, he goes into something which comes back as another body. So the person and the body are fairly disconnected, in the sense, even though by living we totally get associated with the body, but we all know that the person is different from the body, because that is why, how come the person everyone is born at the same time, same second in a public hospital have different lives. If the what do you call it, the horoscope, the body is determined by the time in which it is born, then everyone should be the same. It is not. Why? Because everyone has got a background, because of which they have come, and because of which they grow, and because of which they go into next life. So their body is only a nimitta, it's only an instrument, whereas the person who undergoes his life is different from the body. That most of us know because of what we see, practically what we see in life. So if this sort of an understanding itself is there, then you will not be afraid of death. To that extent, it will be abhayam. Abhayam will be you will not, even if something happens, as I always say, first reaction will be what? Then you say, so what? Then you carry on, try to do something. Then that space that helps you to dealing yourself from the impending fear or impending something, then you will be able to act responsibly, properly, without acting in panic. So that sort of a fearlessness is talking about. Relative sense of fearlessness. Yeah.
This technique of neutralizing a thought or a pattern of thinking by its opposite is called Pratipaksha Bhavana. Thereby,
Pratipaksha Bhavana, I think I have told also before. I sent an article
we read
also.
in 13th chapter.
Yeah.
Thereby, we bring about a cognitive change so that the thought of death either does not come, or if it does, the neutralizing thoughts arise along with it. We need to create such antibodies in our minds in order to deal with these fears as they arise. As the thought, I will die, arises, it is met with the thought, the body will die, that is inevitable. But that I am alive today is a matter for celebration. When this body will die is anybody's guess. Ask anyone in the emergency ward if he or she planned to come there, then you will understand some graveyard has to operate to keep us alive, and therefore that we are alive today is a matter for celebration. One good thing about death is that it has to be dealt with only once. When it comes, we will see what we have to do. Till then, it is not a real problem. By the time it comes, we may be ready to go. We may welcome it. A story is
Actually,
told.
this also has been, generally it is also said, most people, if you ask them, generally when somebody tells about somebody, yeah, my mother or my father, they knew when the death came, they were ready for it. They knew that they are going to die. Generally, it's told, because that is what he says. When it happens, generally, when natural process of old age and death and all that, most people come to know about a few hours or a few days, okay, life is coming to a close. At that time, say, they may feel, why I worried so much, why I bothered so much. For anyway, this day was to happen. So why I unnecessarily accumulated so much time I spent, and so much of I invested so much in certain regrets may come. Or some people who don't have any regrets, they will say, okay, I'm ready, fine, like that. But most people know, old people, if you ask them, everyone will tell, my mother always knew that she's going to die. My father always knew. This is general, because that is a fact. Everyone knows when the death comes, people are ready mostly. So why worry beforehand? When it comes, it will come. So that sort of a Pratipaksha Bhavana we must have. That sort of a maturity, even that relative level of maturity will take that fear out of our life. Then we will be able to do what is appropriate to a given situation. Rather than worried about it all the time looking for security and all that. Just do what is to be done and life will take care of itself like that. That's what he is trying to say. A sort of pragmatic way of looking at life. Yeah.
A story is told of an old Swami who had lived for more than 30 years in Uttarakashi and Rishikesh. When he fell ill, his devotee wanted him to come down to Delhi or Dehradun so that he could receive proper treatment. One day the Swami said to one of his disciples, suppose you are a busy man talking to a group of people. An old man walks into the gathering and finding you very busy, he sits in one corner, evidently waiting to talk to you. He is sitting far away and not interested in the satsanga, but is just waiting to talk to you. Gradually, all the people leave one by one. Now, will you get up and go to your room, or will you call the old man and ask him what he wants? The disciple responded, I would definitely talk to him and perhaps finish with all the other people in order to do that. Then the Swami continued, similar is the case here. For ever since I came into the world, I have been busy doing one thing or the other, and this old man, Mr. Death, who came along with me, has been waiting very patiently all this time. Now he thinks that this is the time to come to talk to me. Should I give an interview or should I escape from him? Since he has been patiently waiting for so long, it is only right that I give him an interview now. It is time now.
Very practical way of looking at it. Yeah.
Death is always around the corner, moving in the form of every vehicle and stationary in the form of microbes and so on. There is no escape from him, for it is the nature of this body to die. It is put together and is therefore subject to disintegration. The more intimately you understand this, the less of a problem death becomes, and the more disposed you are to celebrate life. You are fearless with reference to death only when you celebrate today. Each morning that you wake up is like a new birth. After all, what guarantee is there that you will wake up in the same body? That you do is a matter for celebration. Perhaps for one more day you can do something useful. You plan well for only one day at a time. Even a plan for the future is only today's plan. Tomorrow you may change it if the changing circumstances require that, but for today you have a plan. If you live like this, you can laugh at death or at least face it squarely. Besides death, there are many other things we fear, particularly the future. But if we look back, we have been surviving all these years in spite of our fear. The fear has not only been useless, it is something we definitely would have been better off without. To neutralize this fear too, all we have to do is to understand that we need only to deal with one day at a time. I knew a very rich person who was always afraid of his future. To help him get out of this fear, I gave him an exercise. Though he had 3 cooks at home, I told him that he should cook for himself for a few days. For each meal, he was to cook only what he required for that meal. Nothing was to be saved. The first time he cooked too much, next time he had to reduce the quantity. As he did this, he discovered that the amount of food he needed for one day could be gathered even by begging, and his anxiety for the future was gone. What is really required to overcome fear of the future is the inner strength, the spiritual strength of knowing just how little you require to survive. Then you have no fear. Just to live is not a major accomplishment. Even a mosquito lives. Go to a jungle and see how many creatures there are. It is teeming with millions of life forms. What retirement plan do they have? They all live day to day, and in doing so keep teaching you how to live. You may be worried, but the millions of bugs living in your own stomach are not concerned at all. They keep multiplying geometrically, living a good family life with your children, grandchildren, and great grandchildren, so long as you are alive. So long as you are alive.
As long as you are alive.
As long as you are alive. This fear of what will happen in the future is meaningless. Another way of approaching this is to look at what happens if you lose something. So much of fear is centered on loss. Loss of life, loss of name, loss of power, loss of hair, loss of teeth, loss of health, loss of possessions, loss of relationships, and so on. Suppose you lose some power that you have. Just look at yourself without power. If you strip yourself of whatever power you have, you are still there very much as a person. Essentially, nothing is lost. And look at the person who has power. See what problems he has centered on his power and his fear of losing it. Cognitively, by inquiring into this in this way, you locate the thinking that triggers the emotion of fear and then neutralize it by further inquiry. You need to do that. It is a kind of a job to be done so that the antibodies arise even as these thoughts arise. It is just intelligent living.
Basically, to calm down, in the sense, to calm down, to get a sort of a relatively tranquil mind. Then only we will be able to appreciate that absolute tranquility which you are studying as your reality. So, for that, you must be relatively tranquil. Then you will be able to sit and meditate, reflect on the teaching that is Desakala Vastu Parichinnam, your reality is just the being. All that is possible, it will sink in only when you have a relatively free mind, a space wherein you are able to observe whatever is happening around without getting totally involved with that. In that respect, one by one, all the qualities are being highlighted. Yeah.
Sattva Samshuddhi. Sattva Samshuddhi means purity of mind, Antakarana Suddhi. If all the values are properly understood, there will certainly be Antakarana Shuddhi. But here it is mentioned separately as a value. It means clean thinking, which is expressed very beautifully by Shankara as giving up of deceit, cheating and falsehood in your interactions with people. If you are free from these in your thinking, there is naturally certain cleanliness in your interactions. You have Sattva Samshuddhi. Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti. Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti means steadiness in contemplation. Jnana knowledge here is self-knowledge as received from the Shastra and the teacher. The meaning of the word Atma and of the word Brahman has to be properly understood. Every word has a relevant reality, vastu. So the reality of these words has to first be cognitively appreciated from the Shastra and the teacher. Then that understanding has to be released from any obstruction it may have due to certain lack of preparedness. This is taken care of by Nididhyasana, contemplation on what you have understood, and this is called Jnana Yoga here, where yoga is meditation. That meditation releases the knowledge from obstructions which deny you its fruits. To assimilate your own knowledge as something that is very much with yourself, you have to contemplate upon yourself with certain mastery over the senses and so on. That is why single pointedness, ekagrata, etc., is implied in meditation. You make that same knowledge gathered from the teacher and the Shastra very immediate, very well known, with no doubt at all. In other words, free from all obstructions. You stay with the knowledge until a time comes when you do not need to stay with it because it is yourself. There is no need to stay in yourself. Till then, there is a seeming attempt to stay. This tendency to spend time in contemplation is very natural to a person who has spiritual wealth, Daivi Sampat. Even the choice to gain spiritual knowledge is due to Daivi Sampat. Before he proceeds, Shankara makes a note here. He says this Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti is the most important one among all the others that constitute Daivi Sampat, and says Daivi Sampat is a wealth which consists of Sattva Guna and is therefore Satviki Sampat. And for the word Satviki, he gives a general definition in a brief but important statement. Yatra esham adikritanam ya prakriti sambhavati satviki sa uchyate. When the pursuit is only of things that are to be done and nothing else, it is said to be satviki.
Yeah, basically, Swamiji always used to say, what is appropriate to the given situation? What is appropriate to the given situation means, you, in the sense, you will not vacillate. If this is to be done, even though I may have the liking or I may have disliking, but this is to be done, so I go ahead and do it. If you have that sort of a discipline, that yatra yesham adhikritanam, you have that is your adhikar, that is what it is, that karmanyeva adhikaraha te. That adhikritanam meaning that karmanyeva, this is to be done, so I will do it. So that sort of a discipline is called satvikam. So you will not get into other consideration. All those things. This is to be done, this is my duty, so I duty. The duty boundness is called Satvika Sampatti. That's what he is trying to say. Yeah.
In the Vedic society, we had Varnashrama Dharma, a code of conduct that is defined according to what particular group a person belongs to. All activities required to maintain the society were divided into 4 groups. And the people were also divided accordingly. The duties a person was qualified to perform were determined by the group he belonged to and were all well defined.
Yeah, this I think we have discussed before also. The Varna part of it, it is purely from the Guna and Karma Vibhaga. In the sense, a disposition. Everyone, certain people have a disposition of a thinker, certain people have a disposition of a go-getter, warrior or administrator. Some people have a good understanding of money, Vaishya, and some people are very good at physical labor. They don't want to think much. So this sort of a tendency is there in all people, and some are more predominant, more predominant than other qualities. So accordingly, every society, every organization, everywhere in the world, these four are inevitable, whether you name it or not. These 4 varnas are always there. So that is the way the whole society was divided into the Varna Ashrama Dharma, which was very natural. But giving the color of by birth and by because of that and caste and all that, the whole thing got vitiated. Whereas it's a very intelligent way of living or classifying the society and living accordingly. Unfortunately, we lost it because of the wrong meaning given to the word Varna. That is what has spoiled that. Yeah.
The concept behind this is that a human being is here to accomplish the particular end of moksha. Whether one discerns it, this is what everybody wants. Nothing less will satisfy the human heart. Since the basic problem is one of self non acceptance, acceptance is possible only when a person discovers the self to be free from any lack, in other words, complete, and the self happens to be complete. Discovering this fact releases the individual from his erroneous sense of imperfection. When this is the ultimate end, all activities are reduced to duties. Then, by conforming to these well defined duties, one can neutralize the likes and dislikes, raga dveshas, that disturb the basic pursuit of moksha. Certainly, there is sacrifice and yielding when the raga or dvesha is not in keeping with dharma, but every time you give up, you grow because what you give up is less than what you are. As this inner growth takes place, you gain certain amount of dispassion or objectivity which becomes natural in time. Therefore, to make a person emotionally, spiritually and ethically an adult, you require a suitable infrastructure. This was provided in the Vedic society by what we call Varnashrama Dharma. In this system, each person has a given occupation determined by the family into which he was born, Varna Dharma, and certain behavioral norms dictated by his stage of life, Ashrama Dharma, as a student, householder, one who is preparing for renunciation, and a renunciate. One who conforms to this is called an Adhikrita Purusha. He is enjoined to perform certain duties. What is to be done in a given situation is usually very obvious. That is duty. When one's pursuit is only towards that, even though there may be the tendency to do something else, what is done is duty. As a result, the person becomes a master of his own ragadveshas and enjoys what we call Daivi Sampat. Whether he is defined as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra in terms of his vocation, he is a Brahmana by quality. This is reflected in his disposition and attitude. The qualities of such a person are described in these three verses. They are either natural to him or he is mindful of his activities in terms of these values.
Basically is even though there can maybe a Kshatriya, that's what that example I was telling, no, that where our Muni went to a householders and the lady of the house was serving her.
Kaushika.
So she is a householder, a simple householder, and there is another person who is just a butcher. So even though vocation wise they are different, they all, since they were very mindful of what is their duty and they were sticking to it, essentially their thinking were pure. So in that respect, each one of them was a Brahmana, meaning a thinker, thinking in the right direction. So eventually everyone who was given to right thinking will be able to get that Satvika Sampat. That's what he is trying to say. That is why he says Brahmana by quality meaning what? A good thinking person who knows what is his station in life, where is he, what is his vocation, what is his duty, and sticking to it rather than getting overwhelmed by other things, likes and dislikes and all that. So that is a quality, and that only eventually will lead you to the relative tranquility, and then you will have a sense of calmness, a completeness at the end of your life. You can see a lot of such old people in the villages, when they died, they were very calm. The whole life they would have just served the whole family of 7 children, 8 children, great grandchildren, and all that. But at the end of their life, they would have quietly gone off without any. Listen, they have not. My children have not taken care of me. My children, they won't complain at all. Those things happen only when there are nucleus families today. Children is not taking care of me and all. They are not talking to me. They are not phoning me and all that. In those days, they were not months together. A son or a daughter may be elsewhere. They will never call. That still the village old lady will still live a calm, quiet life, and she will go off also one day. So that sort of a duty bound, doing whatever I need to do and just go away is actually what we call. They had all that relative tranquility, and because of that, they had a very, even though we don't call it moksha, but they knew that they had a very quiet life. Perhaps they will just have to come to know that this is a reality, perhaps they will get it in next birth. But eventually they have lived a very quality life throughout those days. But today, now it has to be told all these things. We have to develop. We are so much far away from all these things. All these things have to be told to bring us back to line. Then only you can grow. That's what is being told here. Yeah. Basic in sense, wherever you are, whatever you are, that's why I am telling. Whether you are a householder, whether you are a simple housewife, or whether you are an office goer, or whether a technocrat, whatever it is, these are all very essential qualities. Living one day at a time and be alert to what you are supposed to do. Actually, in any situation, we all, if we are honest to ourselves, we know what is supposed to be done at this moment, without getting overwhelmed by unnecessary projection of fear and all that. That is why the fear was talked about. If you don't have this unnecessary fear, then you will do what is appropriate. What vitiates is because of unnecessary projection. And either on the positive side or negative side, too much thinking about what will happen 10 years. No. Do what is to be done at a given time and what is at hand, and everyone knows exactly what is to be done in one hand in today's. Everyone knows, and go ahead and do it. Simple approach. At the time, for that you need the space. For that, all these and contra qualities which are unnecessarily disturbing us have to be. We have to be alert to that and keep them away, eschew them away from our living one by one. Once we do that, automatically we will see the fruits of it. In the sense, you will find that you are able to have a calm countenance and you are able to concentrate on your job or family life, whatever it is, in a very equipoised manner. Actually, we will see the benefit of it once we start living that way. That is how we have to look at it. It's all very practical. The sense he is not talking about it as a sort of what is told in Shastra one by one. You look at what he tells, it's all very practical. This is how we can live. So that whatever it is, this is the process. If you are supposed to make money like a scissor bamboo or something, that will happen. Eventually, whatever it is in the larger aspect of life, whatever happens. We are not we think that we are the propellant. No. We are just nimitta matram. Whatever happens. That is satyam. That sort of a thing that we have already discussed all that. Like in the sense it is nimitta matram bhava sabyasachi. What has been told already to Arjuna is very much valuable to us also. That is why we have to live one day at a time, do whatever is supposed to be done, what is appropriate to the given situation. That is the dharma. Because as he has already told, the varnashrama dharma and all are today not there. Everyone is not sticking to the varnashrama. But fact is essentially we are living. We are either a thinker or we are a doer or we are a financier or we are just doing. At home we may be coming and doing dishes. The office I may be operating in a computer. When you are doing dishes, you are a labor. At home, just to help mother, whatever you have to do, you do. So every one of us have this quality. We must be able to see what is appropriate to the given situation and do. And when you are doing dishes, you should not be thinking about office work. So do it one day at a time. So automatically your mind will get a relative calm. Once you get a relative calm, you will have a value for that calmness, the tranquility. Then whatever, like what he says, you will be able to sit and meditate. You will be able to reflect what you have been studying, all these 16 chapters, whatever you study, the sense of it, and in what way it is fulfilling myself. All those things is possible only when you live a day-to-day life in a very pragmatic, value-based life. That is why they are now. That's why every chapter, 12th chapter, 13th chapter, now 16th chapter, also 17th chapter, they will insist on your, what you call, style of living. How you live your day-to-day life makes your quality of mind. And the quality mind only will be able to own up the reality which it is being compared. It needs a space. Calmness in the mind is very important for you to understand that calmness is your reality. Without that, it's not going to happen. You will not be able to own up at all. For that, you have to live a very quality life in terms of these values, not in terms of quality life, in terms of money or the standard of living, big house, big car. No, it's quality of life inside, very clean, calm, relatively calm life. And respect, and over and above that, whatever that comes, money, standard of living, lifestyle, and all that, that is all the part of the sense. It's all given. You have to take it as it comes. You should not be too much worried about all those things. Okay, some plan you may have. If you have money, how to invest. If you have money, something what you can do, but not overly concerned about it. That is, yeah.
Swamiji actually is sometimes, I mean, seeing our generation and the present generation, I always get a feeling, see, we always, when we did something, or when even today, when we do something or when we say something, we always think of how it will impact others. Okay, so we are careful, try to be careful at least. I won't say we are always careful. Try to be careful in saying something or doing something.
Yeah, dharma.
Otherwise,
Basically, it is dharma in the sense what I do should not impinge on others' life. Like what we expect from others also. Whatever they do, they should not harm us. What we do should not harm others. So it's always
we
a.
say that, but present generation, they say that why are you bothered about what you say or do impacts others or anything. If you think you are right, you just go ahead. You don't have to think of it is like thinking of the consequences, they say, of what you do or say.
No,
So
no.
you
The
don't
problem
have.
is if you think you do what is right is determined by what is appropriate to the given situation. In the sense the do unto others as you would like others to do unto you is what is right.
Uh,
So that is what they mean by right. Yeah, that is okay. There is nothing wrong in that. Because that right, what you think is right, is always ensuring that there is harmony in your society or the field in which you are operating. So if that is well considered, then there is no problem. And generally it is possible because all of us know exactly what is right. Without, if we are not having overriding values of ambition, greed, and all that, we all of us know. Even this generation also knows that is what is appropriate to the given situation. But they should be alert to the thing that they should not be having overriding values in terms of competition, making money, trying to be outsmarting others and all that. See, trying to outsmart others by doing something wrong is not what is right. So those things, essential values, essential right kind of thinking, if it is there, then whether it is this generation or any generation is fine. There's nothing wrong in that. Consequences means what? Consequences means you must be able to see whatever I do should not impinge on the other's welfare or something like that. That is given. That you cannot say that this generation will have it, last generation didn't have it. No, every one of us, whether it is any generation, this value is very important. What I do should not impinge on others' lives because I don't want them to do something which is against my life. So both ways it is. It is mutual and common sense. And it is there. You always to say this common sense matrix is always there when a human being is born, this common sense matrix has come along with him. That is like a manual. That is the sense that because otherwise the creation would have been faulty. The human being has the freedom to do anything. Kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyatava kartum shakyam. When that sort of a freedom is given, along with that freedom, the manual as what is right, like the matrix of do unto others as you would like others to do unto you is also given. And the person any human being, once he grows, 15, 18, 20 and all fairly, when he gets into the adult world, he knows what is appropriate to the given situation. Dharma matrix is already there with him. Because he has got the freedom to abuse or use. When he has the full 100% degree of freedom, he's got the matrix of Dharma also. So, if we think that it is not there, no, my freedom, sense of Dharma is different, then there is something wrong. In the sense, they got into a group where might is right, all those things have vitiated their clean thinking. So that we avoid any generation for that matter. So they cannot be greedy or they cannot be overriding others by putting down somebody will grow and all that. That's all not any generation it does not work. So they have to be alert to that. The consequences have to be borne in mind when we act anywhere in any situation. That is a given. I don't think there can be any because if you really look at and calmly ask them, then if they are very able to cogently explain to you, yes, this is what I think is right, and this is appropriate to my given situation. It's not affecting anybody. I am doing what is to be done in my situation for my growth. At the same time, I'm not putting down anybody. If they are able to explain to you and they go ahead, let them have the freedom to go ahead and do it because their circumstances are different compared to the circumstances our generation has lived in. So that is the freedom they have. But they cannot fundamentally compromise dharma, meaning do unto others as you would like others to do. That matrix is already universally, that is why it's called universal value. They cannot have overriding values. Then they will slip up somewhere. But of it we can be very firm about. Yeah.
To develop a disposition in which sattva is predominant, a duty based structure is helpful. By doing your duties, whatever they are, you become a Brahmana. In a society in which everybody is trying to become a Brahmana, by doing what is to be done, there is no competition. Until recently, the concept of duty was very much a part of Indian culture. Today, of course, the society is changing and the Varnashrama system is breaking down, but the spirit is still valid. Any given situation presents itself in a form which necessitates an appropriate action. That action becomes duty. In every society, the duties and responsibilities are very clearly spelled out. Without that, collective function is not possible, whether at home or in society at large. What one should do must be clear, even if there are only two people involved. The one who does just what is prescribed, not only in terms of actions but also in terms of attitudes that reflect proper values, is able to do so because he has a disposition that is predominantly sattva. One of the actions that characterize a person of such a disposition is dana, giving. Dana. Shankara qualifies
Shant, you
dana.
want to read?
சரியா இல்லை அவனுக்கு இது
My internet is not okay actually.
You can make
If you can someone continue read, I will tell you when it's ready.
Dana. Shankara qualifies dana by saying that it is giving according to one's capacity a proper distribution. In giving, it is important not to place yourself in a position of having to receive later. Your giving must be responsible. It should not exceed your capacity. There is a limit which you stretch as much as you can, but you never exceed it. If, because of excessive giving, somebody has to give you later on, that charity is meaningless. Charity must also be given to a worthy recipient, and the one who gives must have a proper attitude. In the Shastra, it is said that if something is to be given, it is to be given with Shraddha. Shraddhaya Deyam. It is not to be
Shraddhaya Deyam.
Shraddhaya Deyam. Shraddhaya Deyam. It is not to be given without Shraddha. Ashraddhaya Deyam. You must know to whom to give, and in the giving, both the giver and the given should feel blessed. That is called dana.
Swamiji, that Upanishad Shraddhaya Deyam
Yeah, Samaveda, it is there.
Kriya Deyam Samvida Deyam.
Famous statement.
If you give and make the other person feel obliged to you, it is not giving. You give in such a way that the person who receives is happy and does not in any way feel small. That is real giving. Certain attitudes are important with reference to giving. If somebody gives you something, however small, you remember it always. Your gratitude never diminishes. But when you give, you forget about it. You may remember and feel fortunate that you had an opportunity to give, but that pride I gave is gone. You consider it an opportunity because you know very well that the situation could be reversed. Thus, if you can give without making the recipient feel small or obliged, it is giving. Everything is like that. Suppose it is your job to manage people. If you make them feel that they are not managed, that they work along with you, you are a good manager. If you can manage them without giving them a complex, you are a great manager. This cannot be contrived. It must be a genuine attitude towards your fellow human beings and certain facts. Jobs differ. Somebody is in a position to say, do this. Somebody is in a position to do it. But one is not superior to another. Duties differ. This is all there is to it. Why should you give? What do you get out of this dana? In giving, you part with something. Therefore, naturally, there is a loss. But there need not be a sense of loss. When you give away something, you may be diminished materially, but you do not become less than you were. In fact, you gain. In giving a gift, there is surely an element of joy. And further, even though there is a giving away, there is always a gain in that you are bigger than what you gave. Then again, to the extent that you can happily part with the things you love, you are free. Someone who does not have anything that he cannot happily part with is totally free. Your attachment to things is not such that you cannot happily give them away when there is a deserving person. Thereby you grow richer. In
Actually,
India,
Swamiji used to say, if you are able to convert your necessities into luxuries, then you are free. Very important statement.
yes,
Yeah, nothing is a necessity, everything is a luxury. If it is there, it's okay. If it is not there, also it's okay. If that sort of a disposition you develop over a period of time, then you are richer. Yeah.
in India, dana is very common even today. There are hundreds of ashramas in Rishikesh and all of them are run by public charity. Similarly, there is always abundant distribution of food because dana is a deep rooted cultural value. In the village where I grew up, except for the rice paddy, food was never to be sold. It could only be distributed. I remember it being a small scandal when one woman sold ghee clarified butter. It was considered a great papa. Once there was a proposal of marriage to one of the girls in our village from a rich family in the nearby village of Mayavaram. But neither the father nor the mother of the girl would accept the alliance because the father of the boy was running a restaurant. That meant he sold food, and the money earned from that was considered papa because food should only be distributed. Even today in villages in Andhra, they will not sell any milk or milk products. Food is to be distributed, never sold. Also, the Kshatriyas in the West Godavari district are not supposed to sell milk products. They consider it below their dignity, even improper to sell them. In Punjab, you will never see a beggar because food is distributed every day in the Gurudwaras and it is rich, substantial food. The value for giving is very great in India. Even a poor person gives whatever he can for a value for dana. For a value for dana is ingrained in all people. It is so important because giving is part of growing up. Dhamma. Dhamma means control at the level of sense organs and organs of action. You act deliberately and are not led away by your fancies. It is alertness with reference to your mind. It is purely a will based value. Dhamma should be there in everything talking, walking, eating, moving around, and so on. Every expression must be appropriate. This is Dhamma. Yajna. Yajna is performing daily rituals which are of two types. One is called Shrauta Karma and consists of Vedic fire rituals like the Agnihotra, which are performed daily. The other is called Smarta Karma, which consists of prayers, daily puja, chanting, japa, and so on. Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is the daily recitation of the Veda and is considered a prayer that produces punya. According to the Shastra, punya can take you to heaven, etc. But it can also remove old papas that can hinder your spiritual pursuit. This is the type of punya that is sought here. Recitation of Veda Parayana, is considered to be a spiritual karma meant to produce a special punya which is converted into an atmosphere or situation wherein you can spiritually grow. Tapas. Tapas here refers to any religious discipline. In chapter 10, verse 5, Shankara defined it as Indriya Samyama Purvakam. Sharira Pidanam. Am I correct, Swamiji?
Yeah, Sharira Pidanam. Yeah.
Pidanam. Practicing various disciplines at the body level, backed by a control of sense organs. Indriya Samyama Purvakam Sharira Pidanam.
Like a little bit of you varthikaradu solluvom illaya, udamba varthikaradu. So that is part of the discipline. Like it's a tapas. Tapas means udamba varthikaradu. Everyone should practice like Ekadasi or something like that. Voluntarily we must put our body so that the body, we are the master of the body. It's not that whenever you feel like eating, whenever you feel like eating. No. You must put your body under, in the sense you should be the master, Swami. Relatively, in the sense, you must be able to, that is why on a day-to-day basis, some yoga, discipline, some tapas, some skipping some food, whenever you feel like having something, you must be able to say no. That will immediately make you an alert living. Since anything and everything, whatever you feel like you having, generally, all no, that is why we should not back for the children. That just must be able to they must be able to take no for an answer. Anything and everything they ask, you give just because you want to be showing your love and affection. That is not love and affection. That is an attachment or a sense of you don't want to feel rejected and all that. These are not that. These are all now today's values. Earlier it was not like that. People were ready to take a no. Children were brought up in such a way that no is very valid reply on certain situation, not for anything and everything. Every day some no will be there. Yes also will be there. And no also they will take in the same sense as yes.
Yes.
No means no, yes means yes. Keep going. That sort of value is very important. That is sort of Indriya Samyama, overcome. Satira Pidanam is part of that, a discipline.
Practicing various disciplines at the body level, backed by a control of sense organs. Many kinds of such tapas disciplines become a part of the sadhana that a jignasu undertakes. Now, here in chapter 16, after almost completing the entire teaching of Vedanta, Bhagavan again picks up the values that a jignasu has to cultivate for the assimilation of knowledge. And in this context, he talks of tapas and is going to elaborate on the threefold tapas later in the 17th chapter. So here, Shankara just says that this tapas will be elaborated later and proceeds.
Yeah, basically what they say essentially is that this understanding will stay only with a saintly person. In the sense, you cannot have a lifestyle which is not congruent with this understanding. Where understanding is what? Here and now, you are a complete person, irrespective of whatever your physical, mental, or economical situation is in life. So those are not very, they are topical, but they are not very relevant to your feeling a sense of completeness. That is your understanding. For the understanding to stay with you, irrespective of whatever is happening in other circumstances, you must be alert, and whatever is appropriate is do. Don't get worried or don't get prayer pedme, wealth pedme, position pedme, power pedme. This sort of a consideration should not cross the mind for this understanding to take root in your life. So those things will always happen. Something plus, something minus will always happen around you. Every time you must be alert and using the values must be able to do what is appropriate without getting worried. What is the plus and minus and all that. So that is why these values are being talked about. Even after the whole discussion of what is the reality has been already told, but the reality has to sink in by only a congruent life. Congruent life is a simple life and high thinking. That is what is being stressed about. Yeah.
We'll continue tomorrow.
Yeah, Arjava will start.
Yeah.
Arjava. Arjava as we saw
Continue tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll start. Arjava will start tomorrow. Yeah.
tomorrow. Okay.
Purnamadah Purnamidam
Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnamadaya Purnamevavashyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.